I knew I was ahead, but until Fignon finished, I couldn't say I'd won. It was when he crossed the line that decided the time difference between us, the difference which meant I'd won. Look, I was easily the best on the climbs. Only a few could stay with me. I could do what I wanted in 1936. On the descent of the San Bernardo, I was behind by about 4 minutes. However, I managed to catch Gaul and Beauvais. It was then I realized I could match them on equal terms. They're emotions, sensations that are difficult to explain. They're unique sensations, feelings of joy and of great satisfaction. See you in Milan, the Giro is finished. I said, no, it's not finished. I'm going to do something tomorrow.
Ho vinto un giro alla mia maniera, cioè attaccando, cercando di dimostrare che il giro non dico solo lo meritavo, ma lo volevo vincere bene.
Il terzo direi forse il più bello.
I'd say my third victory is probably the best because I was considered old by the other riders in the peloton. There were only a few who thought I could win.
Poche credenziali da partenza.
I think the most difficult was the one I won by only 12 seconds ahead of Baron Kelly, because I was never sure until the final kilometre. A puncture or a crash in the last few kilometres could have meant I'd have lost the Giro.
Sono tutti vincitori messi assieme.
All the winners put together have made the Giro great. Every race should be famous.
Meritano di essere ancora oggi citati all'ordine del giorno.
The history of the Tour of Italy, or as it is known in Italy, the Giro d'Italia, is an infinite series of stories. A romantic novel, the romance of the Maglia Rosa, the pink jersey. A story of heroes of the present, past and ancient past. The greats of all time, the protagonists of the hunt for the Maglia Rosa. The Giro was born in 1909. Since then, every year, except during the war years, it has been made the Tifosi's dream. It has incited applause and admiration from everybody who has lined the roads. Let's replay this history, the history of the Giro d'Italia. Any gallery of greats could not be without this man, Miguel Indurain. He was a double winner of the Giro. Here we see Claudio Chiappucci, the eternal challenger, winner of the great climber's jersey, and then Indurain was in the pink. And there was also Ugrimov, who was a great second. Chiappucci tries to go clear yet again, but he has no chance against Indurain. Claudio has to be happy with the great stage win on the mountain stage to Corvara, the big stage in the Dolomites. It's Chiappucci's first Giro stage win. However, Indurain is not worried. He is the boss of the race. Here he is on the stage to Sestriere. He's unstoppable. He's going to win his second Giro d'Italia. It's a bad day for Claudio Chiappucci, but a good day also for Piotr Ugrimov. Ugrimov is really strong, and the next day he will go even better. This is the 1993 Giro. Indurain is the Maglia Rosa for the second consecutive year. Ugrimov was second at 58 seconds, while Claudio Chiappucci finished third at 5 minutes 27. Here is Miguel Indurain the year before, 1992. In the time trial, he catches Claudio Chiappucci, and at the finish of the final stage in Milan, it's a great Miguel Indurain with Chiappucci second once more. Coccioli tries in vain to attack the Maglia Rosa on the last mountain stage to Verbania. Coccioli shows his form of 1991, attacking all day, but Indurain didn't crack. Coccioli has no chance. He has to be satisfied with just the stage win in the end. Here at the finish in Monvicio, Indurain leads his rivals in the general classification. He had to ride with courage, but at the finish in Milan, the Maglia Rosa was his. Claudio Chiappucci was the man who finished second at 5 minutes 12, with Coccioli third at 6 minutes 16. That was the 1991 Tour of Italy. This is Eddy Merckx, one of the greats of the Giro. He won it 5 times. Here, the cannibal of Belgium, as he was called, takes a sprint from a long way out. The year is 1973. In this edition of the race, the Giro Eddy Merckx, he wore the Maglia Rosa from the very first day to the last day, just like Gianni Bugna would do in 1990. These are all images from the 70s. The riders as they prepare for a descent, and then they hope for a bunch sprint. This is 1974, the year of the famous 12 seconds winning margin, when Merckx won ahead of Baron Kelly. Fuente won this stage to Mendrisio, but Merckx was the king of the race. Here's Felix Gimondi in the rainbow jersey. It was Merckx's 5th victory at the Giro. The others came in the years 1968, 1970, 1972 and 1973. These are some of the more spectacular images of Merckx at the Giro, where he overshadowed the best of Italian cycling, even though it was a great era for them, the era of Gimondi, Adorni, Vitossi and Giancelli. This is Merckx in the time trial from Bassano to Treviso in 1970. Felici was second to the great Belgian at 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Merckx said, "I think the victory on the stage to Cecchini de Lavorado in 1968 was my best day in the mountains." Here's Merckx at the finish. It was one of the legendary days of the race. Look at the rain and the snow. Eddy was in the rainbow jersey of world champion. The year is 1968. Eddy Merckx is winning his first Giro and starting a new era of cycling. From Merckx we pass to Fausto Coppi. Gino Bartali sets the pace ahead of Coppi. It is 1947. This is the stage to Trento. One of the most important stages of the race, which saw one of Coppi's long, lone breakaways. He won the race ahead of Gino Bartali. This is 1952. Coppi had won the Giro in 1949, his third victory. This is the stage from Rome to Rocca di Papa. Fausto Coppi again was on the attack. (1952) is one of Coppi's best seasons. In these pictures on the key stage from Venice to Bolzano, Fausto Coppi is already wearing the pink jersey. Coppi won ahead of Fiorenzo Magni, Ferdi Kubler, Donato Zampini and Gino Bartoli. As the race crossed the Dolomites, Coppi, in Maglia Rosa, made his lone attack, dominating the stage. At the finish in the stadium in Bolzano, Coppi was first ahead of Bartoli and Magni, the three greats of the period. Here's Coppi again in the 1952 Giro in the time trial stage from Erba to Como. 65 kilometres was the distance. The race finished on the track in Como. Coppi won the stage ahead of Hugo Koble and Giancarlo Astrua. This is the 1953 race on the stage from San Benedetto to Roccaraso. Even on this early stage, Coppi still won, where he beat Albany and Bobe. This is the 19th stage from Oronzo to Bolzano. Koble, the winner of the 1951 Tour de France and the 1950 Giro d'Italia, is in the pink jersey. The two enter the stadium together, and it's Coppi who wins the stage. The race seems over. Koble is the clear leader of the event. However, the day after saw Coppi's legendary attack on the climb of the Stelvio Pass. This was the first time the Giro had crossed the famous pass. On the winding road, Koble cracked. Coppi attacked and he went clear. Just watch him climb towards the 2,700-metre summit. From Coppi, let's pass to a more recent Tour of Italy. It's 1971. This is Costa Pedersen, the first Swede to win the Giro. These pictures are the time trial from Lenate to the Vigorelli track in Milan. Pedersen was the most consistent rider in a race which saw the strange alliance between Gimondi and Gianni Motta, both of them members of the Salvarani team. Pedersen won the race ahead of Herman van Springel and Ugo Colombo. Now look at this dramatic sprint. Freddie Martins tangles with Rick van Linden and both crash heavily. Marino Bassi won the stage. It's another Giro for the non-Italians here in 1977, the Giro of Michel Pollentier. Here he is with Baron Kelly at the finish in Pinzolo. And here he is in the time trial at Binago.
Credo che
The words of Francesco Moser. I believe the second place behind Pellontier was the second place which hurt me the most. In fact, Pellontier won the time trial, beating Moser, who had hoped that he would win the Giro by winning the time trial. This is the 1978 event at Novi Ligure. Rick van Linden outsprints Didi Turau in another Giro for Belgium. For Gimondi, it was his final Giro, while for Beppe Cerrone, it was his first. Beppe won 3 stages, including the one in La Spezia. The Giro here was won by Johan de Moink of Belgium. Now another era of another great. The era of Bernard Hinault of France. 1980, the time trial from Pontedera to Pisa. The first Giro for Hinault and his very first victory. Here Conti wins in Orvieto. With the Roccaraso in Abruzzo, Hinault dominates the race. On the stage to Sordrio, he took the Maglia Rosa from Vladimiro Panizza after a breakaway with Jean-René Bernardo, his teammate.
Era un po' vecchio, avevo 35 anni, però
The voice of Panizza.
potevo anche vincere.
I was a bit old at
Comunque,
35, but I could have won. However, the best man won. Things went Hinault's way.
Sicuramente l'hanno agevolato in tante cose, però è meglio non rimangare. A me piace, ma...
In 1982, Hinault continued to challenge the Italians. It was Hinault's second ride in the Giro and his second win. In all, the great Breton rode the Giro 3 times, and he won it 3 times. This is the time trial to the historic city of Assisi. Hinault won the stage and became the race leader. This is the stage 18 to Monte Campione. The day before, Hinault had lost the race lead to Silvano Contrini, but he got his own back. He won the stage and went on to win his second Giro. Hinault's second Giro was a battle against Francesco Moser. Here he wins the time trial and he takes the sprint then ahead of Johan van der Velde of Holland. Moser had won in 1984, but in 1985 he couldn't escape from Hinault. Here the great Frenchman talking to a very young Greg LeMond of the United States. Moser said, I tried until the end to win, but Hinault was very strong in the time trial and I could only finish second. Voice of Bartoli. Oh, how many Giros I could have won. In 1935 I had to ride for my teammate Matano. In 1936 and 37 I won. And in 1938 I won the Tour de France. Then I hardly raced again. There were no races because of the war. I missed out on winning the Tour de France 10 times.
Perché io ho avuto 10 anni fra i militari fatti da me e le altre guerre, io ho perso 10 anni di corse di Giro di Francia.
Gino Bartoli telling his story. He won 3 Giros from 14 attempts, a record in his style. 14 Giros without ever failing to finish. Here he is in the 1946 event. Racing had started again after the war, and Bartoli won the first Giro ahead of Fausto Coppi, who had won the last Giro before the war started in 1940. 1947, Coppi got his revenge, and the rivalry between the two exploded. A great duel between two greats of Italian cycling. Here is Bartoli in the pink jersey on his way to an incredible victory. Gino Bartoli was always a threat, even when Fausto Coppi won overall. On the track from Torino to Genoa, he won the stage ahead of Ortoli and Zanazzi. Here the race heads towards the Dolomites, and Bartoli again goes on the attack. Here's the sprint. Bartoli wins ahead of Coppi. Now to the third Italian great of cycling, Fiorenzo Magni. He won the Giro 3 times. The first one came in 1948. This is the stage from Aronzo to Cortina. Magni battles through the mountains. This was the year when Coppi and his Bianchi team pulled out of the race in protest over Magni being pushed by the Tifosi. Magni won ahead of Cenci and Couture. This is 1951. Magni leads again. For Coppi, 1951 was probably his saddest season because of the death of his brother Serse. Magni won the Giro ahead of Rick van Steenbergen, the Belgian sprinter. Ferdi Kubler was next, and then came Fausto Coppi. This is the finish of the final stage on Milan's Vigorelli track. The public applaud Magni's final victory. This is 1955, Magni's third victory, which he won while wearing the Italian national champion's jersey. He won the second stage to Cannes in France and took the lead. On the stage from Trento to San Pellegrino, Magni and Coppi attacked the young Gaston Nencini.
Ho tirato fino a Brescia in pieno e siamo andati a 4 minuti già di vantaggio.
The voice of Magni. I had to do all the work until Brescia. Then I let Fausto take a big prix, and so he began to help. We went all the way to San Pellegrino, and it was a break of 160 kilometers.
Sono scansato e ha vinto Fausto. Sono scansato senza aver lavorato. Da quel momento si vede ha avuto il ripensamento, poi ha raggiunto due vecchi, diciamo, che facevano una grande impresa, ho cominciato a tirare con me e di lì siamo andati a San Pellegrino, perché da quando siamo scappati erano 160 km di fuga, quindi era un'impresa non facile.
And so on to another era. This is the Irishman, Stephen Roach, and we are at St. Vincent. The year is 1987. The Giro, won by an Irishman for the first time, was also the year of the betrayal of Roberto Vicentini. Here's Vicentini in the Maglia Rosa. He was a teammate of Roach in the same Carrera team. Vicentini cracked more mentally than physically on the stage to Sappada. This is the last stage of the 1987 Tour. It was a time trial. Roach is the winner of the Giro. Another historic moment of the Giro, Andy Hampsten, the first American to win it. Here he is with Dmitry Konishev, the winner of the Amateur Giro in 1988. The final time trial. Andy Hampsten is already in the Maglia Rosa. He was a clear winner of the Giro d'Italia that year. All smiles on the left is Laurent Fignon and Flavio Gipponi on the podium in Florence in 1989. The climb of the Tricime Lavorado, and then the terrible finish followed in Corvara, won by Gipponi. It was a stage for survival of the fittest. Eric Breukink of Holland. And it was Laurent Fignon of France who was the overall winner. The great Frenchman also won the Tour de France twice. Here is a different age, the first Giro d'Italia in 1909, the age of Garner and Galetti. Just take a look at the roads and the bikes. In this era, the stages started in the middle of the night. They were 300 or 400 kilometers long. The first Campione was Alfredo Binda. He was unbeatable. So much so that in 1930 he was paid to stay at home, earning the same amount of money as the man that won the race. In 1931, Learco Guerra was the first ever Maglia Rosa, the legendary leader's jersey, the same colour as the race-organising newspaper La Gazzetta dello Sport. Here's Alfredo Binda in his Italian's champion's jersey. He was also world champion in 1927. Can anyone imagine racing on these roads? Here's another great of the past, Felice Gimondi. In the voice of Gimondi, for the 1967 Giro it started badly for me because I was suffering from bronchitis. I'd had some problems to stay with the main challengers at first, but later in the race I got stronger. I had a great duel with Jacques Anquetil and managed to drop him eventually on the mountainous stage to Aprica and take the Maglia Rosa. It was a great Giro because of the rivalry between me and Jacques. This is the final stage of the race with Gimondi in Rosa. with Gianni Motta and Vittorio Adorni alongside him, the previous two winners of the Giro, Adorni in 1965 and Motta in 1966. This is now 1969. Eddy Merckx is out of the race after being found positive on stage 16 to Savona. At Falagaria, Italy's Italo Zilioli wins ahead of Gimondi, now the clear race leader without Merckx. Merckx had left the Tour in tears after denying emphatically he was doped. These are more images of Gimondi's Giros. Adorni is the world champion after winning at Imola in 1968. Adorni wins the stage, but Gimondi is the overall winner for the second time. Here's Gimondi in 1976, his third Giro. He's now 34 years of age. This is the time trial at Ostuni, won by Francesco Moser. Gimondi won the race with a great display of experience, professionalism, and above all, class. This great sprint is in Bergamo on stage 21. Felice Gimondi beats Eddy Merckx in front of his local fans. He would take the Maglia Rosa from Des Moines in the final time trial to Arcore, just north of Milan. This is another great time trial rider, Jacques Anquetil, who won the Tour de France 5 times. This is 1960. The great chrono man defeated Gaston Lencini to win his first Giro. This is Anquetil in the leader's pink jersey, wearing the famous number of cycling, 51.
Ricordo un fatto molto singolare e abbastanza curioso.
Vittorio Adorni. I remember a strange story about Anquetil. I noticed that he always had a special bottle on the hard mountain stages. Curiously, I wondered what was in it. I asked him for a drink. He gave me the bottle, and I discovered it was cold tea without milk. It was awful. When I asked why he drank it, he said, "Because it's so bad, I drink less and ride better." These are the pictures of Gaston Lencini attacking Jacques Anquetil on the Gavia. And this was the first time the Giro had crossed the snow-covered pass. There was plenty of help at hand, especially for the Italian. Anquetil hung on by 28 seconds to win the 1960 Giro, which finished on the Vigarelli track. This is Charlie Gall, the man they call the Angel of the Mountains, who won the Giro in 1956 and 1959. Here he heads for the stage wins at Campobasso in 1956. And this is the uphill time trial at San Luca near Bologna. Gall won the 1956 Giro on the climb to Bondone near Trento. He left all of the favourites behind in the cold and misty conditions and crossed the line alone. he was 7 minutes 44 seconds ahead of the second-placed Fattini. And this is the finish of the stage. This is Jacques Anquetil in 1959. Gaul wins again here. This is Franco Balmamion. He won the Giro in 1962 and 1963. This is the final stage from St. Vincent to Milan. Balmamion is in the Maglia Rosa. The finish is on the Vigorelli track once more. Guido Carlesi won the stage, but Balmamion was the hero of the race. This is the era of Cerrone. Watch the sprint. De Vlaminck leads out. The young Cerrone jumps around him and he wins. It's the birth of a new Italian hero. It is now 1979. This is the time trial to San Marino. Moser was the race leader until Cerrone won the stage and took over the race. He became the new idol of the Italian tifosi. He won the final time trial to Milan, and the Giro came with it. In 1983, on the stage to Todi, Cerrone wins a controversial sprint with Moreno Argentin. And the two clashed again, and in Bergamo, it was Cerrone once more who proved to be the quicker.
Sono le emozioni importanti si provano ancora adesso, più che forse in quel momento.
Giuseppe Cerrone.
Subito non te ne rendi
There are emotions that I feel more now than I probably did at the time. You don't immediately realize you've won something important, but as time goes on, you really enjoy the satisfaction, and that stays with you forever. Beppe Cerrone, the winner of 2 Giros in 1979 and 1983. Going back 20 years, this is the tour of Fausto Bertoglio. It's the last stage of the 1975 race with the finish at the summit of the Stelvio. Bertoglio and Francisco Galdas of Spain fight out for the overall victory. Bertoglio survives the attacks of the Spaniard and so wins the race. From Bertoglio to Battaglin. It is 1981 now, and Battaglin begins to challenge Cerrone and Priem of Bianchi. This is the final time trial from Suave to Verona. Priem and Cerrone were usually better against the clock, but the Maglia Rosa gave Battaglin the motivation to win the Giro, just a few weeks after having won the Tour of Spain. Let's go back now to 1950. This is the first foreign winner of the Giro. It's the victory of the Swiss rider Hugo Koblet. The great champion from Switzerland is seen here on the stage from Torino to Locarno. Koblet won ahead of Gino Bartali. The Campionissimo, Fausto Coppi, had retired after a crash. Here's Koblet with Bartali on the track now in Bolzano. Koblet won the stage and the Giro. And this is Koblet wearing the Maglia Rosa. This is perhaps one of the less spectacular Giros, 1954, which was won by Carlo Clerici. Clerici was also from Switzerland and, along with Nino Astarelli, broke away and gained a huge advantage. Voice of Fausto Coppi. They should never have been allowed to get such a lead. But after that stage, the race was over. We'd all lost it. Here's Clerici in the Maglia Rosa. Fausto Coppi is the rider in the white jersey of world champion. This is now 1961. And here is Koblet and Calisi. And this race was won by Arnaldo Pambianco. He won in the 100th year of Italian independence and finished ahead of Jacques Anquetil. After Pambianco, another great Italian was Gaston Nencini. He lost the 1955 Giro to an alliance made between Coppi and Magni. But then 2 years later he won ahead of Charlie Gall and Lewis and Bobet. Here he is in 1960. He lost this year by just 28 seconds to Anquetil. However, later in the season, he became Italian champion. He gained revenge too by winning the Tour de France. From Lencini to Baldini. Now it's 1958. Baldini was unbeatable. Here he wins in Bolzano as he wears the pink jersey of race leader. In this sprint here, won by Foble, the same year that Baldini won the Tour. This is Vittorio Adorni. He was in great form in 1965. He went on the attack and won the Giro by 11 minutes. Italo Zilioli finished second. Nowadays, Adorni is a television commentator.
Ho avuto la grande soddisfazione quando ho vinto il Giro d'Italia nel 65 che la Gazzetta dello Sport.
When I won in 1965, I had the great satisfaction that the headline of La Gazzetta dello Sport was "The best Maglia Rosa since Coppi." I like that. This is the year after, 1966, the victory of Gianni Motta. Wearing the Maglia Rosa, he wins the stage to Levico after climbing the Vetrulo Pass. Motta, Zilioli, Gimondi, Vitozzi, Adorni, Dancelli, an unforgettable era for Italian cycling. This is Moena, and Motta wins again. M for Motta to M for Moser. After many years of trying, Moser finally won the Giro in 1984. Here he just avoids a possible disastrous crash after the final of stage 7. (1984) was the year Moser defeated Fignon in the final time trial. This is the final time trial to the Vigarelli. Even though he'd punctured and had to change bikes, nothing could stop him from winning. And this was the Verona time trial.
Certamente è stato più bel giro perché l'ho vinto.
For sure, it was my best Giro because I won.
Avrei meritato forse di più di vincere. Mi ricordo
I can remember the finish in the arena in Verona. It's one of the moments in my life that I will remember forever.
Poi è stata una cosa ancora più bella, anche se poi la corsa era già chiusa di fuori dall'arena, comunque l'arrivo era proprio dentro. E ormai nella mia vita ricordo cose, insomma, momenti che ricorderò sempre.
And here is Roberto Vicentini. He won the 1986 Giro, supported by a great Carrera team. Vicentini won ahead of Giuseppe Cerrone, Francesco Moser and Greg LeMond. The man who always loved to drive fast cars like Ferraris proved he was pretty good on a bike as well. On the podium, Vicentini shared the honours with Guido Bontempi, the great Italian sprinter who'd won the pink jersey. Four years after Vicentini, the Italians had found another great, Gianni Bugno. This was the start of the renaissance of Italian cycling. Bugno was the hero of 1990. He won the prologue in Bari, where he defeated Thierry Marie of France and Lech Piasecki of Poland, who were both seen as prologue experts. Then Bugno went on the attack at Vallombrosa. The man behind him was Pyotr Ugrimov. Here's Bugno again in the Queno time trial. He was beaten surprisingly by Luca Gelfi, but he kept the Maglia Rosa. He led the Giro d'Italia from the first stage to the last, just like Merckx and Binder had both done before him. Bugno had become part of the history of the Giro d'Italia. In the rain-soaked time trial to Varese, Bugno won again. It was the year of a great Bugno. In the final classification, he was 6 minutes 33 seconds ahead of Charlie Motet of France and 9 minutes and 1 second ahead of Marco Giovanetti. It was the Bugno everybody admired. Italian cycling had been in the dark for 4 years after Roche had won in 1987. Hampsten had won in 1988, Fignon in 89. Finally, it was the start of a new era, that of Gianni Bugno. There were other names too, like Chiappucci and Coccioli to remember. And here is Capino Coccioli. We're now in 1991. A great Giro with a great ride in Rosa by this rider whose appearance reminds everybody of Il Campionissimo, Fausto Coppi. While Claudio Chiappucci chased hard, Coccioli goes more and more into the lead on the big mountain stage to the Pordoi Pass. Cocci excites the Tifosi with an attack while wearing the Maglia Rosa. No one can match him. Here he is on the podium. And now winning the time trial. Chiappucci also rode well, as indeed did Gianni Bugno. They made it an Italian 1-2-3. Coccioli was first, Bugno was second, and Chiappucci was third. Just look at the crowd and look at Coccioli. This was the baptism of a great champion. Coccioli won by 3 minutes 38 with Chiappucci second. Lelli was third at 6 minutes 56 and Bugno fourth at 7:49. Grazie Capino. Thank you, little copy. Coccioli is the new Fausto Coppi. The Italians had found their man. This, yet another great story of the Giro, another piece of the Giro d'Italia.